So we had our first session last week, but I am going to do a refresher since there is a lot of new faces I see today. Let's give it 2 more minutes. My name is Mithun. I am a research scientist here at the data lab of the Data Science Institute. Today, we are going to talk about deep learning. So before I start boring you with a bunch of slides and what we call death by PowerPoint, I wanted to do a little old school stuff, which is stop sharing and start asking some questions. I'm going to start with the question, what is intelligence? What do you think is intelligence? So people online, please unmute yourself. I cannot seem to keep track of the chat at the same time. Who has an answer? What do you think is intelligence? What is the definition of intelligence? All right, I'll keep an eye on the chat. Okay. The ability or capability of thinking. Okay, that is one answer. Good. Is there any other answer online or in person?
When the information is something where
What do
the
you think is
action can be taken.
intelligence? Compression. Oh, I don't think they can hear us in the room. Okay, hold on. I think what happened. Are we not on speaker? No. Can somebody speak up from?
Am I audible?
Yeah, Mickey, I can hear you.
Yeah. So can I answer?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So information which is actionable, which based on which the decision can be made, is intelligence.
Okay, so you're saying information.
According to me, is the ability to differentiate from right or wrong, taking the right decision or taking the right step from based on the previous steps.
Okay, so what Rachita said was it is the ability to make a decision based on the previous step. Okay, and Mickey, you said it is more about information, understanding the information. Is that correct?
No, I said when information is actionable, when you can take action based on the information, that is intelligence.
Fair. So it is almost similar to what Rachita said, right? So in your previous step, you have actionable intelligence. In all due respect to CIA, there is actionable intelligence and you act on it. Okay, so that is intelligence. What was your answer here in the class? Okay, so okay, so you're saying a lot of information, the ability to compress it and find patterns in the data is the definition of intelligence as per you. Okay, let me read a couple of answers from the chat. Pramesh says it is the ability to reason based on observation, experience, or data. Good. Manas says the ability to derive a conclusion from the information that you have received. Kind of the same thing where we said we have some knowledge in the previous step and we, or the person making a decision, is arriving at the conclusion based on the previous information. Okay. And Pradnya says understanding things and taking actions based on understanding. Okay, great replies. So, which brings me to the next question, which is, do you think humans are intelligent? As per everything we learned so. Okay, so humans are intelligent. Fair. Part B, part C. Do you think ChatGPT is intelligent? One yes. Okay. One yes in the class. Two. Anybody else thinks ChatGPT is intelligent? You know, as per all the definition, We heard in the class, okay, 2 yeses online. Okay, so out of around 20 people, I'm gonna say 2 plus 2, 4 yes. So 16 people don't think ChatGPT is intelligent because of all the definitions we saw here, which is the ability to derive a conclusion from the information. Okay. Is it understanding things and taking actions based on it? Do you think ChatGPT is doing that? So one of the definitions we had when we asked the question, what is intelligence, is understanding the previous information and making a decision based on that. So that is why I'm asking, do you think ChatGPT is intelligent? I mean, feel free to speak up, okay? Yes, okay, you think, why do you think it is capable of doing that?
And I'm thinking of this one paper where they hooked it up with Minecraft and then saw like it's taking all the right steps to actually know the true rules.
Okay, so the answer from the class was there was a paper where ChatGPT was connected to Minecraft and it was able to play Minecraft pretty well, going from one good position to another position, cutting down trees and doing all those things. Okay, so that is the explanation for ChatGPT being intelligent. Do you have any other explanation? Substantiate your claim? So Pradnya says it is understanding questions, finding answers, and replying back. Okay, so isn't that what Google used to do before ChatGPT was there? Anything else you can think of why ChatGPT is intelligent? Like, I didn't say it, you said ChatGPT is intelligent.
Can solve some problems, but it's not perfect at solve that problem. So up to a certain level, you can reason.
Okay, so you're saying it can reason up to a certain level, okay? Okay, so there is an interesting answer in the chat. Maybe not, and Katie is saying maybe not intelligent because it cannot evolve independently without human intervention. What do you think about that? Okay, so you're saying that there's a Katie, there's a counter argument to that from the class, which says human intelligence was not because of any intervention. Divine, not divine, no divine intervention, despite all that, depending on the belief. Okay, anyway, so coming back to the point, we have very varying opinions on what intelligence is and how humans perceive intelligence. And some people think ChatGPT is intelligent. Some of them say it is not. But what is intelligence? Is it only the ability to perceive previous information and decide new information? Isn't there also multifaceted things like, you are intelligent, so you can also make emotional decisions, right? So we never even thought of emotion at this point. We always said, okay, intelligence is a machine able to reply. So is ChatGPT and human at the same level of intelligence? No. Okay, so that everybody agrees, no. Good, okay, that is good to know. There is at least one consensus and quorum in the class. So welcome to deep learning. That is what we are gonna learn in the next few weeks. Every Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. We are gonna try to go through how deep learning works and more importantly, think from the abstract perspective of what is intelligence and is ChatGPT intelligent? I mean, if you guys are online, you should open ChatGPT and ask the question, are you intelligent? So a long time ago, there was this person, the scientist called Alan Turing, who came up with this idea of Turing test. And that was a test which decided if a given machine is intelligent or not. Or more importantly, the story was that, say you walk into a room and you have just a screen in front of you, just a computer monitor, and you can interact with the computer monitor, type questions, it gives you answers. There is something behind the monitor in another room replying to you. How do you know it is a machine or a human? So that was a big test known as Turing test. And at that time, what Alan Turing mentioned was, if a machine can pass that test, it is considered intelligent. So just putting a pause out there, and let's get into the weeds of today's class. So let me share my screen. So welcome to deep learning. And today we are going to introduce you to hugging face, the smiley. Please be smiling when you hug somebody. But more importantly, I want you guys to go to huggingface.co. If you don't have an account, please sign up for it now, because we will use that in another 15 minutes. Okay, coming back. So when I said this is a series on introduction to deep learning, you could probably learn a lot of these things in a full-fledged 6-month course. But our goal is to get your hands dirty as soon as possible, give you prototype which you can immediately take home and start playing with and learn what deep learning is. Okay, so while you create an account on Hugging Face, this was a question I had asked in the last class, which is, who is this famous person taking a selfie with his friends? I cannot seem to see the chat window. Okay, the answer is natural language processing. I'm assuming that is for the previous question and not this question. So, okay, so Maxim says that this is Abraham Lincoln. Okay. So you're saying Abraham Lincoln had an iPhone and he was taking a selfie at that time? Okay, nobody has an answer, but the answer is this is Abraham Lincoln, right? And he was not taking a selfie with his iPhone. This was a picture created by one of the large language models or deep learning. It's an AI generated image, like Manas said in the chat. So yes, so this is how powerful our machines are right now. We can ask it to create anything you want. Here's another question. Who are these people? I call it identify these famous people. Anybody online? You can actually type in the chat. I have this open on the side. Okay, so there's an answer online which says these are nobody because they are AI generated people. These people do not exist. So these days, AI is capable of generating completely new faces. Like these people don't exist. They just created this AI for you. So in this class, this is what you're going to learn towards the end of this workshop series. Do all this magic with deep learning without any math. Like clearly deep learning is a subject which has a lot of math involved, but we will not be going to any of those details, but more importantly, get your hands dirty, right? So welcome to the world of machine learning. So if you were here in the previous class at 2 o'clock, you would have seen one part of machine learning known as what we call classical machine learning. Deep learning is the current section of machine learning where we deal with all these things known as large language models and neural networks. How many of you have heard the term neural networks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, online, I cannot see people. Let's see if I can click on participants. Nope, I'll stop sharing. Yeah, a couple of people saying thumbs up. So, okay, so people have heard the term neural network. Okay, so what is a neural network? You heard the term. What do you think is a neural network? You said something that looks like a brain. exactly is a brain? So brain is a neural network, right? We have neurons and tons of neurons inside it. You're right, perfect, yeah. So brain is the real original neural network. So what we have right now is called artificial neural networks because everything is based on that. So if we are trying to recreate human brains artificially, so that is what we know as neural network. So how do we achieve this, right? So you might have heard all these names. These are like, you would have heard large language models. There is, Meta, ChatGPT, Lambda, Bard. So everybody and his uncle uses a large language model these days. The most important question, though, is how do these large language models learn or do these amazing things? And the answer there is by understanding human language. So think about it, like take a step back and think about it. What is human language? Language is a means of humans trying to collapse a big abstract idea in your head and giving it to another person. So let me ask this question. Do you think sign language is a natural language? For those of you who don't know, sign language is how people who cannot speak or hear communicate with each other. So Katie says, yes, sign language is a human language. So it is ultimately the same thing, right? There is an idea in one person's head, and he wants to transfer that idea into another person's head. You could either use signs or words. Most of us are lucky enough to be able to speak and learn the words. But go back in time and think about when you were a kid. Probably you don't even remember this. Think of a kid trying to learn a new language, or the language is new, right? How is it learning really? Is it just starting day one, it hears a couple of words being spoken? Is it memorizing the word? Let's say the first word it speaks is dad. Does the kid really understand what dad means in the complete sense of it? Dad is this person who hangs out in my house. He's a pain, but he does good things once in a while, feeds me. Mom is fun. Mom feeds me all the time, right? So you have this mental model in your head, and then which you actually attached a label. You could have called it Apple. You could have called it John, right? It is still the same mental model. Now, how can we take that and send it to a machine? So remember, what we are doing is we are trying to create artificial intelligence. We are trying to recreate human brains. So how can we do that? Like, easiest way of creating artificial intelligence is make another baby. Because with the metals, it was almost impossible to do it until recently. So humans definitely have this language, and we speak all these different languages, which at the end of the day is a means of communication of our ideas from your head to the other person's head. So I need to mention a quick history of humankind. So long time ago, humans, we started in like Africa. We moved out of Africa, went to some place in the Middle East. So until then, humans were not considered intelligent. Those were the monkey men who had very basic garrulous sounds. Suddenly, something happened to humans there, and we turned intelligent. And the definition of intelligent is we started speaking a language. So earlier, that is where my question was, okay, we have so many of these ideas of intelligence. One of them is the ability to convert your ideas into words and translate it to another person. So people still don't know what happens to humans, right? So around 100,000 years ago, we suddenly started speaking a language or became intelligent. And there are still different school of thought. Some people say it was divine intervention. Some people say it was evolution. But more importantly, something happened at that moment. And if you look at the human history, right now, we are at a point where we are exactly creating that moment again, what we call singularity. We are trying to create machines out of metal, which are becoming intelligent. So this is what people have predicted since almost a century, that there is a point in time where we create transhumans. And we all are lucky to be in that age that we are creating another human. So whatever happened to humans 100,000 years ago, we are exactly trying to do that to a machine now. Now, the question is, you are here, you want to know how to create a machine that is intelligent. I'm assuming that's why you're in a deep learning workshop. So the more important question I want you to think about is, what is the meaning of intelligence? Like, is it basically the ability to analyze based on information, or is it words? So currently the way we work, or at least the large language model works, is it is based on this field called natural language processing. And the whole idea is we focus on words so that we try to recreate intelligence and the mental models a child has using words. So we're going backwards. We are telling the machine, hey, here's a word dad, but it has a big mental model behind it. So how can we do that? If it was as simple as dad equals parent, father, definition of father, you could give a dictionary to a machine and it'll regurgitate back to you. But as per what you guys told me, ChatGPT is intelligent and it understands what father means or dad means. It's not replaying the definition of father back to you. So how is it doing that? Do you guys have an idea on how it is doing that? It's not a dictionary, you agree, right? Machines are not dictionaries anymore. It's not just going to Merriam-Webster and saying, hey, here is a definition of father. How are these machines understanding what father is? Okay. So is there an answer online? Does somebody have a comment on that? Okay, there's an interesting point Manas made in online, which is kid learns stuff when he hears that repeatedly. Exactly, fair point. But does he learn the label dad or does he learn the mental model dad? Did he learn the mental model once and he's like, okay, mental model, nice person, gives me food once in a while, takes me out for walks. But then, oh, he's called dad, he's called dad, he's called dad. So he's learning that word, but there is still this mental model behind it, right? So that is the fundamental question people have been asking in this field of AI and natural language processing. How can we tell this amazing thing inside our head to a machine, which at the end of the day is 0 and 1? It's just light switch on, light switch off, right? How is it doing that? So that is the kind of curiosity I want to pick your interest at this point before we get into the deep weeds of deep learning. Okay, so probably the last question before we get on to getting our hands dirty. The question is, where do you see this sign almost on a daily basis? Sorry? It's a speedometer and car dashboard. Okay. And what does it do in a speedometer? Measure speed. Okay. Well, specifically, you're right. This was a cruise control sign which pops on when you turn on the cruise, but in same thing, right? But how does cruise control work? How do you think cruise control works? Okay, if people don't know what cruise control is, let's say you're driving at a speed of 45 and you realize, oh, too fast, but I want to glide. I don't want to drive anymore. So you say, okay, machine, let's go back to 41. That is probably below a little speed limit, and let's stay at 41. How does the machine stay at 41? Because if you answer that, I'm going to ask immediately, do you think cruise control is intelligent? Okay, so it's a pretty narrow kind of intelligence. Okay. Define narrow. It's able to do that one task. What is the task? Stay at that speed. So let's say you're in a highway, you hit a bump or a pothole on the road, and your speed reduces to 35. Your car slows down, right? Because you're not pressing it's a standard like first law of motion, right? So you're hitting a body is going to be in the same state unless an external force acts on it. And you hit a pothole, your car slows down, but how does it pull it back to the same speed, 41?
Because the cruise control has a reading or input coming from the chip, which tells it the speed.
Perfect.
Based
That
on,
is a
based
perfect
on,
answer. Okay.
based on the RPM.
Yes. Okay. So it has exactly the same thing what Mickey said, which is a constant feedback mechanism between the expected speed and current speed. So if you ask it to stay at 42 and you hit a pothole and you naturally went down to 41, it has this very narrow intelligence which says, push the accelerator. Might not be physically, but internally give it more gas so that we go back to 42. Same thing other way around. Somehow the road is very smooth and the machine just accelerated faster. It became 43. Then it sends the command to brakes. Oh, slow down a little bit. We have to stick to 42. So this, like the gentleman here said, is the very, very narrowest form of intelligence. So if I ask you, is it intelligent? Maybe not at the standards of humans, but this is how humans have been slowly imparting our mental models into machines, right? So this is your initial idea of intelligence. And the reason I'm saying this is exactly how neural networks work. I'm not even saying the artificial neural networks. This is exactly how human brains work. Remember when I asked you what intelligence is, you were saying you react to something. It's a stimuli reaction. That's exactly what is happening. It's called backpropagation because you walk somewhere, you hit a pothole, you slow down, you realize I'm getting late, I need to run now. So that is a simple feed forward and backpropagation mechanism. That is exactly how your neural networks work because humans thought, hey, this is how brain works. So let's start recreating that in machines. And that's all it has. Welcome to deep learning. So all we did was we created all these small software components, which actually at the end of the day, these are like 0 and 1 machines. But the only difference is here, let's say I take this one neuron here. Okay. So this is the picture of a detailed, dirty picture of a neural network. So these are all neurons. And what happens here is, just like in human brain, one neuron doesn't do one thing. One neuron is connected to so many different things. And then it starts sending out these signals. So this is exactly how neural network works. And what we call large language model, the only difference is it just fed in the whole internet into a big, deep, large, deep neural network, and ta-da, we have large language models. But all it is doing is it takes this whole idea of feed forward and back propagation, which is, hey, here is initially we give it the input 41, you need to stay at 41. And then initially it says, oh, no, I'm at 45. And then we look at the difference between these desired values, 45 and 41, and we back propagate. And that's all you need to know about deep learning. The course is done. Thank you for listening to us. I'm just kidding. So, but that is basic. If you learn one thing from today's class, that's all you need to understand. The way large language models work is it's just a higher scale. It just takes the same thing, takes the internet as input, and we have what we call gold labels. So let's say you give it a picture of cat and you write down CAT, cat. And you ask the question, you give it another picture of cat it has not seen before, and you ask the large language model, what is this thing? It says dog because it has neither seen this or that. Or then we correct the machine and say, no, this is a cat. You find the difference between this and your previous case, and you do back propagation. That's it. That is learning. At the end of it, that's all we need to know. All right, so now this is getting really boring because I'm telling you boring theory. You're bored, I'm bored. Let's go do something fun. Let's get our hands dirty. Okay, so we are going back to Hugging Face. If you have not done that, open huggingface.co and create an account on there. After that, I want you to go to UA Data Lab, github.com/UA Data Lab. So I will do that with you. So let's see. So for Hugging Face, I'm hoping you guys have an account here now. So let's see, UA Data Lab or a GitHub/UA Data Lab. github.com/UA-data lab. All right, that will take you to a bunch of this page. Click on the repositories, click on deep learning workshops, click on lecture 1, intro to Hugging Face. Okay, and click on this link, intro to huggingface.ipython notebook. Okay, I'm assuming people here in the class at least know what is Python and how you have worked with Python a little bit. Even if you haven't, it's okay, just follow along. Okay, now click on open in Colab. Okay, you should have this link. You should have this page coming up in front of you. So the very first interesting thing we do in deep learning is transformers. So you will be asking, hey, what is transformers? Like the movie Transformers, what does that has to do with anything? So the answer is all large language models these days is built on one single thing. It's called transformers. So in fact, anything you name it, GPT, Llama, whatever large language model is you see, it's built on this core architecture of neural networks called transformers. So that's it. Nothing to do with the movie. They happen to call it transformers because it is transforming the ideas in your head into machines. So just remember the word. And the reason I'm saying that is in the very first thing. So let's say, okay, you have this page there. I want you to create a file, new notebook. Okay, hoping you're with me. I'm actually looking at the chat. Please post anything or speak up if you have questions. Let me pause here actually. Give me a feedback, like what kind of questions do you have so far? What is intelligence? Tell me, what is intelligence again? Any questions? Okay, going once, twice, thrice. Nope, everybody's excited to get their hands dirty. Let's go. Pip install transformers. So if you haven't transformers, right? Okay, I went to grade school. I know this spelling. Okay, so then click the play button and let it do its thing. So if you don't know what pip is a repository where a lot of these nice packages are stored and you can download them straight from pip. Okay, so what we are doing now is we are installing this thing known as transformers, which if you remember, is fundamental to every large language model. Okay, I'm assuming you guys are following along. Please ask questions if you don't. All right, I am going to switch between this and here. Carlos, can you keep an eye on the chat? I am going to forget it. Okay. So next thing I want you to do is from transformers, import pipeline. Okay, let's go back and create another code. So I'm assuming you're familiar with Python notebooks. If not, just follow along. If you click this plus sign here, you will create a new location to add code. Okay, so the next thing, what did we see there? From transformers, import pipeline. Okay, so what do I mean by this? So when in doubt, we ask Google or ChatGPT. So in this case, let's search for, what did I do? I pressed something, great. Got the sharing out, okay. So pipeline simply means it's a pipeline of bunch of models. So if you just want to hear, let's go to transformers models, introduction. So you guys can go read this yourself. It's almost everything I said. Hugging Face is this nice collaborative environment where people have designed exactly this, the pipeline for you to run a large language model. In the next 10 minutes, you will run a large language model yourself. So it's literally a pipeline. You are just going to add one faucet, another faucet, conduits, and you're just going to build it up one after the other. So that is exactly what we are doing. So we are creating a pipeline here. Okay, with me. So let's go see what does the pipeline do. Okay, we are going to create a pipeline for sentiment analysis. What is sentiment analysis? Have you heard the term before, sentiment analysis? No. Okay, what is sentiment? Emotion, feeling. So we're going back to slowly the definition of intelligence. Okay, emotions, feeling, sentiment. If I tell you this sentence, I love deep learning, what is the sentiment? Is it positive or negative? It's positive. Okay, you agree? Okay. How about I hate deep learning? Is that's positive or negative? Yeah, okay, it's negative. How about I like deep learning? Is that positive? Okay, so is I love deep learning at the same level as I like deep learning? No. So the humans say love and like is at a different level. We agree love and hate is exactly opposite. But when compared to love, where does like stand? Think about it. Meanwhile, the definition of sentiment analysis from the AI world is if I give a sentence like I love deep learning to the machine, a black box, like you don't even need to know how it is doing it. It will tell you if the sentiment is positive or negative. And let's see if this works, right? And that's how we are going to try to work this. So let's see. So the next thing I want you to do is we are going to create what we call a classifier. So what is classifier? What do you mean by classification? What is classification? Sorting, okay, classification is sorting. So it's separating something into positive and negative sentiment classification. Okay, it's just sorting something into like mail sorting, spam, not spam, right? Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to create a pipeline to do sentiment analysis. So classifier, pipeline, sentiment analysis. And what we do next is we ask this classifier, hey, I'm going to give you a sentence and say, tell me the sentiment of it. Is it positive or negative? Let's try, I love deep learning. All right, so now let's press play. Please work, please work, please work. I'm teaching a class, please work. Okay, so if you are with me there, you should also have got the same reply, which is no model was applied. So it defaulted to something. You don't need to know what that is, right? It defaulted to some large language models, blah, 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 blah. It says using a pipeline. Okay, so like I said, it's using a pipeline, but scroll down a little. Look at what is this. It says, oh, this is a positive sentiment. Welcome to deep learning. Welcome to your first toy of deep learning. You just have a large language model in your hand into which you can ask whatever question you want. So let's see. I hate deep learning. What does it say? Oh, it says negative. And the score there is actually the confidence of the model. It is saying I'm 99.61% confident that this is a negative score. Let's try complicated things, I might or might not like the professor teaching deep learning. Okay, let's see what it thinks. Okay, see, positive, but the score is 0.73. This is slowly becoming like humans. Remember the question I asked about I love versus I like? So let's try what score it does for I like. So this machine is basically telling you if the sentiment is positive or negative. and it is also giving the percentage. So it says, okay, it has positive, but it's close to 99.9. How much did it give for love? I love deep learning. And it should be very close because the machine has not completely learned. There is so much difference. Okay, this was 99.98 versus 99.97. Great. So that is why I gave it a little bit of, hey, might or might not love deep learning, like deep learning. So I'm just messing with the machine, right? So the machines are not perfect, but it is still giving you some numbers. So you see where we are going with that, right? Okay, so now it's saying, yeah, kind of positive, but okay. I don't know. So long story short, you have a walking, talking large language model in your hand right now. In fact, in couple of weeks, we will learn how to create a chatbot yourself. You can create your own chatbot and share it with your friends. That is a kind of hands-on work we are going to do in this workshop. Okay, so let's see what else can it do. Oh, okay. So it can also do text generation, which is, fill in the blanks. So let's go back. Let's call it generator. And this, if you heard the term generative AI, that's all generative AI does. It generates text for you. Okay, text generation, and I give it a different question this time. The question is, fill in the blanks. Tucson is known for. Okay, so I'm basically asking the machine, hey, fill in the blanks, complete the sentence for me. Generate some text so that you can complete that sentence. Let's see what it says. Okay, no model supplies or defaulted to GPT-2. Okay, it's using some good models. Okay, Tucson is known for being the leading man in football. Sure. He's also worked under an established coach and had a full week of training camp. Welcome to intelligence, machine intelligence. So clearly these machines are not really intelligent, but they are good at text generation. So you see what it's doing? Remember I was saying that these machines were given the whole of internet. So what probably would have happened was it looked at all these words, all these sentences which had Tucson, and apparently there is a lot of football talk about Tucson, and it somehow thought, okay, Tucson is a person. It says it's known for being the leading man in football. Absolutely makes no sense, right? So which is why I'm saying the machines right now are not intelligent. They are good at text generation. I want you guys to just take all this home and play with it. Just ask it all these questions like, hey, so let's see what Arizona is known for.
What does it deal with all the randomizations? If I put in what you did, we often get very different answers. Or if I ask ChatGPT for things, I'll get very different answers. Why is it always so different?
Yeah, so the question here from the class is, if we ask one question, and if you ask the same question, and I ask the same question, ChatGPT has exactly different answers. In fact, if you ask the same question back to back, even then it has two different answers. The reason is all these machines are doing, we will see this in the next class, all these machines are doing is take one word and memorize which words come most frequently with it. So like I said, in the previous Tucson example, that's exactly what happened. Or Tucson, in this ranking scheme, when I ranked it in the 2 microseconds you asked me a question, the highest words which always come next to Tucson is football. So I'm going to make up a sentence with football. You click again, it's going to re-rank it again with everything it has learned. And this time something else got a different ranking. So even let's see this. Arizona is known for blank. Arizona is known for its political correctness. Okay, the police officer who shot his friend Michael Brown at Ferguson, Missouri, protests is no longer a police officer, and he's arrested for resisting arrest as a teenager. Absolute bullshit. Okay, this is what we call hallucination. So as you can see, these machines really are not learning anything, but it knows like, hey, Arizona known, most likely every time there was a news article about Arizona, there was probably a news article about Michael Brown and Ferguson, Missouri. So that's all it's doing. It's just combining these words next to each other. So which is why I started with that question, what is intelligence? Do you think ChatGPT is intelligent? So I'm asking the same question again, and this time it re-ranked the whole data it has learned of Arizona is known for its fast, efficient transportation service. No, it is not known for its fast, efficient transportation service, GPT. So this is GPT-2. You can argue GPT-4 is slightly more advanced, but then you have to pay for it, right? So if you go to the ChatGPT interface, you don't have to pay for it. But if you want to call it from your command line or this kind of Python code, you have to pay for it. And then it opens a question of, wait, why are we paying for things? I'll let you guys think about it. Let me also introduce you other things. There is the same thing like question answering. So let's ask the same question other way around. What is Arizona known for? The question is, let's see, what is Arizona known for? Okay. And the context is basically what extra information can you provide it? I'm going to give it no context. I just want ChatGPT to take from whatever it has learned from the internet. And in this case, I think it's by default switching to, what happened? All right, what is Arizona known for? Pipeline question answering. Context cannot be empty. Okay, let's give it some context. Context is, what is Arizona known for? Okay, so Arizona is a state in the United States. All right, so let's give it some context. And so question, dear question answerer, what is Arizona known for? Okay. Why? Wait. Answer is Arizona. Great. Arizona is known for Arizona. Brilliant. Okay. So these machines are definitely not intelligent, and I'll explain why they are not. And more importantly, we will learn how to make it look intelligent, even if it is, faking it. So yeah, it's giving you back Arizona as a state in the United States. Tucson is in Arizona, which is, I don't think it's going to help, but you guys can play around with this and, try to make it better. But I'm going to open this code. It's in Arizona, which is, okay. I'm going to open this code base to you. And like I said, the code is out there. There are so many other things it can do for you. Summarizations, give it a big text, summarize it. But more importantly, you learned two major things. You learned what transformers are. You learned there's something called pipeline, and you can mix and match. So welcome to your first class on deep learning. And here's your hands-on code. Just go play with it. So you can ask questions and, eventually we'll learn how to make it reply better. But hey, here's your Python code for having a large language model. Awesome. We are at time, and let me check the chat window. Do you guys have any questions? What was the unmasking here? Yeah, we will get to masking. So there's a lot of techniques that happen in the background to make these machines do what it is doing. One of them is masking. So we'll talk about all that. But this workshop is intended to be quick and dirty. I would rather teach you how to do things fast than what is masking work mathematically in the end. We will touch it, but I'm going to avoid core math and how these things deeply do it. So it's going to be an equal balance of theory and practical. And in 6 weeks, you will build your own chatbot with your own data. That is most important. Like, GPT is trained on everything under the sun. Let's say you have your private journal that you have in a digital form, and you want a chatbot, which we will use for asking questions about, hey, what did I write in my journal 10 days ago, right? So that is something we're going to do. So that is more important. Remember, at this point, having a general ChatGPT, sure, you can go to ChatGPT window. The more interesting thing is if you are a researcher and you have your own data, or let's say you have your own coursework and you want to ask questions to the coursework, just like you ask a TA. You can ask that to your own chatbot. That's what we're going to get to. There was a question from the chat. Katie, I saw a question on, did you had to download Llama? Yes. So if you recognized, like we almost did the same class again today. We had like 3 people in the last class and now we have 20. So I thought, okay, we have at least 17 new people. So I had to redo it. Yes. So I had recommended to download Llama. We will start using it pretty soon. Llama, like I said, is, okay, so if you guys have time, go Google Llama. It's, of course, Llama, the animal, but more importantly, Llama is the open source model, which we will be using. So click on download the model. You probably, it's going to ask you for all these first name, last name. Just remember, add your Arizona ID. So that usually gets approval pretty fast. But yes, we are going to start using this pretty soon. And the reason I introduced Hugging Face is, if you just search for Llama, so this Hugging Face pipeline has all the latest large language models. So in fact, if you're curious enough, don't wait for me to introduce all that. Just go home, read on Hugging Face pipeline, how to change models, and start playing with it. So remember the example I showed you, that's not a good model. And that is definitely the reason why it was not giving good answers. So it has DistilBart, so which is like a 5-year-old technology at this point. So you can actually go and change the model and play with it, so which we'll see in the next class. But yeah, questions? Okay, no questions. Chat. Awesome. All right, guys, if you don't have any questions, thank you for being here. Hope to see you next week, same day, same time, same place. Thank you.